Prime Minister Narendra Modi meeting the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on the sidelines of the G7 summit in Italy. We're getting in visuals of the warm hug being shared by Prime Minister Modi with the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Just a few moments ago, he also met his British counterpart Rishi Sunak and the French President Emmanuel Macron. The meeting that's currently underway, also very, very significant, that has pushed India to join the upcoming peace summit in Switzerland in order to halt the Russian offensive. So these are the three bilaterals that have taken place in Italy. Prime Minister Modi is in Italy for the G7 summit. He met the French President Emmanuel Macron, then met the British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, and now, just a few moments ago, also meeting the Ukrainian President. My colleague Rishabh is joining us with the details of what happened in the meeting. Rishabh, these are extremely crucial meetings. The first international trip after Prime Minister Modi's third term in the G7 countries as well. A lot happening on the international front. So these meetings, these bilaterals that have taken place are extremely significant.
Well, definitely, very significant. Three bilaterals have taken place: France, UK and Ukraine. Remember, France and India have been very friendly countries. France has been the oldest strategic partner of India when it comes to Europe. UK has been a country where we have historical ties with. But the most important and the latest meeting that has taken place is between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine. And this happens hours before the peace summit that is scheduled tomorrow in Switzerland, where the global leaders would be coming together. There was an invitation from Prime Minister Narendra Modi as well, but India has decided to send Pawan Kapoor, a secretary-level officer, an ambassador-level officer, for that matter, to this peace summit in Switzerland that takes place tomorrow. But this meeting is very, very important. Remember, last time at the G7 summit in Hiroshima, Prime Minister met President Zelensky. Back then, there were discussions how both the countries can move forward together, and even discussions about high-level visits between the two countries. We haven't seen much of high-level visits between the two countries, but deputy ministers have definitely visited each other's country in last 1 year. But remember, why is India important for Ukraine? India's proximity with Russia is something that Ukraine wants to leverage on and wants India to intervene and stop the Ukraine-Russia conflict that has been ongoing for over 2 years now. It began in February 2022. It's still ongoing, and a lot of lives have been lost on that front. And remember, it was Prime Minister Narendra Modi who, on the face of it, met President Putin on the sidelines of SCO summit in Uzbekistan, and that's where Prime Minister Narendra Modi said back in 2022 that this is not an era of war, and that has become the bottom line of all the documents or the talks that have happened since then on Russia-Ukraine conflict, including the New Delhi Declaration of 2023. Apart from that, both India and Ukraine do understand that the defense ties that both the countries have, the historical ties that both the countries have, that is very, very important. Ukraine has been an important partner for India in Europe as well in past, and trade, commerce. And remember, when the Ukraine conflict began, we got to know how much of Indian students were already in Ukraine, and that shows the people-to-people connect between the two countries as well.
Absolutely. And India has spoken about the commitment for peace in Ukraine. Like you mentioned, it's also an opportunity for a follow-up on the discussions and the outcomes of the G20 summit that took place under India's presidency. Stay with us, Rishabh. Sagrika is also joining us on the broadcast with the official tweets that have come in from the MEA. Sagrika, over to you.
Pratibha, these are the tweets from Prime Minister Narendra Modi's X platform and handle. Had an excellent meeting with my friend President Emmanuel Macron. This is our fourth meeting in 1 year, indicating the priority we accord to strong India-French ties. Our talks covered numerous subjects such as defense, security, technology, AI, blue economy and more. We also discussed how to encourage innovation and research among the youth. I conveyed my best wishes to him on the hosting of the Paris Olympics, which begins next month. And these are the three pictures that the Prime Minister posted along with, that message of it. So these are the pictures that the Prime Minister posted. Now, let me also take you through what the Prime Minister said about his meeting with Rishi Sunak. Prime Minister Modi goes on to say that it was a delight to meet Prime Minister Rishi Sunak in Italy. I reiterated my commitment to further strengthen the India-UK comprehensive strategic partnership in the third term of the NDA government. There is great scope to deepen ties in sectors like semiconductors, technology and trade. We also talked about further cementing ties in the defence sector. So with UK, the focus has been on cementing ties in the defence sector, and these are the pictures that the Prime Minister tweeted of his meeting with Rishi Sunak. Over to you, Pratibha.
Okay, all right. Sagrika, thank you for joining us. We have Mr. KP Fabian, former diplomat, joining us on the broadcast. Ambassador, thank you for joining us. The Prime Minister holding talks with the Ukrainian President. He also met the French President as well as the British Prime Minister. We are told that Zelensky briefed Modi on the various aspects of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and India, Ambassador, has also played a very, very crucial role in making a strong statement for peace in Ukraine.
Well, what we have to understand is that, when the G7 leaders met Prime Minister Modi, he stands the tallest among them. Because you mentioned about Prime Minister Sunak. Well, he is not sure that he's going to be there at the next G7. That applies to, others as well. I don't have to give you the list. So, having gone for the G7 after the, taking over for the third time, Prime Minister Modi enjoyed the highest possible prestige. Now, coming to Ukraine, well, you know that the conference in Switzerland is going to be held soon. The Prime Minister will not be going, as far as I know. And I don't think a conference in Switzerland for bringing peace in Ukraine without the participation of Russia stands any chance at all.
Okay. Okay, so you're saying the discussions are taking place, but, speaking about the significance of these meetings and the bilaterals, Ambassador, this is also a timely opportunity, isn't it, to follow up on the outcomes of the G20 summit that was held under India's presidency last year?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that way, India is sort of emerging as a leading voice of the global south.
Yes, and Ambassador, this is also, of course, for India, it has attended 10 G7 summits. This is going to be the 11th one and 5th consecutive one for the Prime Minister. This is also the first international trip of the Prime Minister after taking oath for the third time in the third term.
And that is why I said, when these leaders meet, the undiscussed question is, how stable is the interlocutor is, what are his or her chances of getting re-elected in the next election, that sort of thing. That's why I said Prime Minister Modi, when you look at it, stands the tallest.
Yes, Prime Minister Modi being elected for the third term, elections due in UK as well as France, and the Prime Minister has met both the leaders. Thank you so much, Ambassador, for joining us. The visuals are on your screens. The rapport that the Prime Minister shares with the world leaders is also well known. He met the French President Emmanuel Macron first, after which he met the British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, and then he met the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. So, Rishabh, as we underline the significance of these meetings, any details being revealed by the MEA on what was the conversation, the talks that took place between the two leaders in each of these meetings? What is the official word coming in?
Well, the first meeting has been given an handout for, and the first meeting was around strategy, around defense ties, around the long-standing friendship between India and France, and how both the countries perceive each other in the changing geopolitical world. Apart from that, it also says that how when the Prime Minister was waiting for Emmanuel Macron, the President of France, he walked in with the word congratulations, where Prime Minister returned with a thank you, is what we are given to understand. The first meeting that happened. Since then, the Rishi Sunak meeting as well as the Volodymyr Zelensky meeting has happened. We are still waiting for more details to come out, but the talks around FTA with UK was the major point, while with Ukraine it was majorly on Russia-Ukraine conflict that has been raging on for the last 2 years.
Okay, all right. Rishabh, thank you for joining us with those details. We'll